Mr. Bala, why is an IAS career important when compared with engineering or medicine or any other field?
Right. The question is very good. When you take any other professional course, of course, it is going to satisfy your passion. If you are passionate of doing some engineering or medicine or some other courses, yes, definitely it is going to quench that thirst. Whereas when you become a civil service officer, in addition to this passion fulfilling, you get pride. You are serving for the nation directly. Of course, every doctor does that, but he is limited to a particular locality or a particular field. Whereas when you become a civil servant, you are getting a chance to serve the entire nation, whom you know, whom you don't know, different by means of language, region, and culture everywhere. A person who gets selected for a civil service from South India, if he serves to the people of Northeast India, then you can see how much good it is. That benefit you are getting as a civil servant.
Excellent one, Gam. Now, what are the different profiles of jobs when people can take? IAS is one, but are there other things, where other positions that people can aspire to do when they prepare for UPSC exam?
Sure. This exam takes for more than 23 posts. The main thing is that if you have muscle power, if you want to meet people directly, and if you want to make some enforcement of law, then you can go for an IPS. If you are dare to meet the public and want to make some reforms directly, then you can take civil service. You are a good diplomat, but you don't want to focus yourself to the external public, but your limited circle, then you can go for foreign service. Foreign service. If you are a natural lover, then go for foreign service. Similarly, and if you are good enough in calculation, and if you are very much interested to settle down all the economic crimes, then you can become an IRS officer. If you are a travel lover, you want to travel here and there, and you want to make people so much comfortable of the travel, then you can become an IRS officer. So these are the various different available professions through this civil service examination. Whichever is passionate to you, you can click on that.
Beautifully said, Mr. Bala. Now, one of the most common questions that parents have is there is a lot of prestige attached to an IAS or an IPS or an IRS positions. But what about the salary? People don't seem to get an idea about it. Can you throw light on what can be the salary expected?
The salary nowadays it is at par with the normal IT salary. But when you consider it as a CTC, it works good. How the CTC is computed? Whatever the benefits a person is going to get out of that employment, that constitutes the CTC. For example, if you become an IAS officer, you are going to get a bungalow, you are going to get your vehicle, you are going to get servants, everything, the expenses have been borne by the government. Of course, salary may be considerably low when you see other profiles with the same sort of qualification. But to add into the CTC, one more thing is the pride and what I can say is your chance to serve the nation. You can't put any value for that CTC. If you want to put some value, then it sits over and above all other professions. But one thing I can assure you that whatever the salary you are going to get, it will be good enough for you to run your family in a comfortable way. You may not be compromising on anything. In a comfortable way, you can run the family. And at the same time, the other benefits will satisfy the needs of your dear ones.
Very well said. And add to that is the prestige of the job. That's wonderful. Now, is it okay for people from towns or villages who don't have the advantage of a city education? Can they also apply, and do they stand a good chance?
Definitely. It's a level playing field. Anyone who comes from the remote village are sure enough in getting this service. Of course, you can see in the previous years, It's not only the people who pass through the CBSE system or who came from metros or sub-metros clear this. It's not like that. People who are really interested to clear this examination are clearing it very well, because it is going to speak something about them, which you are going to feel and explain, which you are going to understand, which you are going to reciprocate. It is very much little to do with your education, not completely with it.
Thank you for that, Mr. Bala. Is there an age limit?
Sure. For every category, based on the government, they are segregated as open competition, OBC, SC, ST. That's the age limit specifically for each category, and number of attempts also restricted for each category.
Thank you. And what is the minimum qualification that is required to attempt an UPSC exam?
2 qualifications are required. One by means of age, the other by means of education. Of course, people should be a citizen of India, and there are 3 categories. And by means of education, you should have completed your bachelor's degree, or you should be in the final year of your bachelor degree. Second thing is that 1st August is the cut-off date for age calculation. It is not 1st January or your date after. For example, let us take an instance. If a person has to appear for UPSC 2022, then he should have born at the late 1st August 2001, where he completes 21 years of his age. If his birth date is 2nd August 2001, he is not eligible for UPSC 2022. So 1st August is the cut-off date, and 21 years completion and a bachelor degree completion or in the final semester while writing the prelims or the mandatory qualification requirements.
Thank you for that. We all understand that UPSC exams is one of the most competitive ones. Do I get a chance to take multiple attempts in case if I fail the first time?
Sure, it's also based on the categories. They have number of attempts limited. It's 6, 9 and multiple based on the OC, OBC and the SC, ST. You have more attempts. You have n number of attempts. Minimum you will have 6 attempts if you belong to OC category, which will be fair enough good to go for a trial.
Are there any physical requirements in terms of height, weight, fitness? Is that part of the criteria?
Medical fitness, basic medical fitness is required. It is not up to the mark. Even you can see those who are visually challenged, they become officers. So that speaks more. And the basic medical standard to fit as a normal human being is required. Other things, physical challenges are not at all considered for evaluation.
Is it important or are UPSC exams only conducted in English, or is it also available in a native language, Indian language?
See, English and Hindi you can take, whereas even other languages, our native languages also you can take, but you have to take up to interview with the same language. It is advisable to go with English. We may fear that English may not be a comfortable language for us. We'll be good with our native, but irony is we are not good with our native. That you have to accept. Whatever we speak, that we feel comfortable, but that may not be good for us to write an examination, because more and more words, more and more technical words, we know them by means of English, not by our own native language. It is always advisable to go with the English-based examination, which will be much helpful for everyone to have a comfortable preparation.
Do people look at the family background during selections?
They drill down whatever you have mentioned in your DAF, that is detailed application form. They will go with that. Whatever you have mentioned in that, you should know good about it. If I say I am a native of Sri Perumbudur, I should know what is the specific or special item in Sri Perumbudur. and what is Sri Perumbudur is recorded for. These things I should know. So if I'm disclosing some information about my near and dear one, or my family status, or my native, I should be thorough in that. So that is mandatorily required. So it is up to you to know about yourself and your family to present well in the examination. The questions will be drilled on based on your own DAF, and it will not be much on the general base.
Most people apply for IAS because it is the most visible of these. In case if I don't qualify for that, do I stand a chance to get an IPS or IFS?
It's up to you how you are filling your form. That means you can fill your choice of preferences. If I get this is my first choice, second choice, third choice, like that you have to fill maximum possible choices which you are comfortable. If I am good enough with 5 or 6 positions, yes, IAS, IPS, IFS, IFOS, and IRS, then I have to fill the order of preference. If my cutoff based on my category and my performance in the final interview stands at one good point, where based on my preference, if I get any of the service, then you are going to do with that. So first decide what are all the services you are interested, and you should go for order of preference. Yes, my first preference is this. My second preference is this. Like that, my final preference is this. Like that, you have to go. So you are getting a chance with a single examination, with a single list of choice of preference. You are eligible to compete for many of the posts or all of the posts.
Noted. Thank you for that, Mr. Bala. What is the frequency of the UPSC exams?
Once in a year. Once in a year, but you have to take it in such a way that at least you need a preparation for 1 year. That is the safest way. So how it starts? For example, every year it happens by first week of June. Let us take it as an illustrative purpose. First week of June, every year the prelims is going to happen. So you have to start your preparation from the previous year, that is June, you can consider. 1 full year of preparation, where you will be preparing not only for prelims, but also for mains. So you will be appearing for prelims examination in the subsequent June. As you know very well, it's on knockout basis. If you are clearing prelims, then you will be entitled to go for mains. Mains will normally happen in the month of October. It is of descriptive nature, and once the mains exams are over, the results are expected by the end of December, and if not, by the end of January. Once the results are out for main, and of course it's also knockout basis, if you are clearing that, then you will be attending the interview based on the schedule given by the UPSC, which will be running for almost 2 to 3 months. So on the final day of interview, then they will take 2 more days to clear the medical fitness for the people who attended the interview on the last date, and results will be declared subsequently. So if one candidate is start preparing for a civil service examination this June, he will be appearing for the prelims the subsequent June, and the results of his selection will be obtained on the subsequent year, April. It takes almost 1 year and 11 months to complete the entire process.
So according to you, now is a good time to start preparing for the 2023 exams.
Sure, it is good time. It is good time to start, and you are having an edge over others because you are going to start 9 months or maximum, at least 8 months before June.
Yeah. Is it important to take professional coaching?
Not mandatory, but you have to see how best you can do. Because if you are sure enough in clearing on your own, then it's well and good. But when you are taking a professional coaching, you are getting a chance. Your chances are bright. That is advisable. If you are sure enough,
What are the other advantages when you take up professional coaching?
Professional coaching means it has been taught by the people who have taken this task before. It has been taken by the people. The coaching is being conducted by the people who have attempted this before, who have cleared this before, who have served this noble profession. Minimum is people who have attempted for the civil services, they will be conducting the classes. And they know in and out of the preparation, and they know the path to go during the preparation, because it's vast and you can't be filtering on your own what to take and what not to take. It is better to go with some sort of guidance by means of some academy or some professional coaching, where you can get a confined syllabus. You'll get a confined syllabus. Even the syllabus is vast, they will limit to the proper form. They will say that what is exactly required to prepare. That is important, and how to prepare, and the question patterns, and where we are lagging. That is most important thing, where we miss. It can't be considered as a normal academic examination, what we take for UG or PG. Here, if you are lacking in particular topic, we may miss the bus. So it is always better to have some sort of guidance which will help us to identify our blind spot and to improve in that well.
Talk to us about the importance of taking mock tests.
Mock test, yes, of course. It is like a practice match or warm-up match, what we consider in the game of cricket. Mock-up test is similar to what you are going to face in the real-time examination. The mock test gives a clear idea how the question paper will be, how the pattern will be, and how much the time required to complete it. You may feel confidence while taking some practice test on your own, considering that we will be good enough in completing within the stipulated time. Whereas when you go for mock test, you are coming in a confined environment. You are going to limit yourself with your comfort levels. You are going to take up this examination in a condition where you don't have any external access, your time is limited, and you should be studious, you should be very much vigilant in attempting the questions. That mock test, once you go on doing this mock test, when you go for a real test, you may not feel the fear of attempting it for the first time. That is the benefit you are getting on attempting the mock test.
There are a few academies that help. Capstone is one of them. Can you talk to us about how different or how special Capstone IAS Academy is?
The first thing is that presently it's an online academy. Of course, for the past 2 years, we are very much familiar with the online pattern of coaching. Of course, if you ask this 2 years before, the answer is different. Now, online is the best medium to have any sort of education, to sort of any sort of preparation, to go for any sort of preparation. And why Capstone? When there are more players in the market, why Capstone? And of course, Dr. Santosh Babu is a mentor of this academy, who has served this nation for more than 26 years with a clean record, which is important. A person who did it well, who cleared the examination, who was in the field for more than 2 decades, who performed well, who has taken a good score out of his performance, can make people to educate well, can guide people, can guide aspirants, not only in the examination, but also how to perform when they get the service. And the teaching team, content, and how it was presented and how it was monitored. These are also factors to be considered when you are evaluating an academy. In Capstone, you have officers who are in service, who left the service, teaching to the aspirants. And the test, and of course, Capstone IAS Academy is linked with Excellent Academy. The first academy, Excellent is the first academy where it conducts data-driven smart test series. When you go for test series, normally what it happens, people write the test, they will come to know how many questions are attempted correctly and how many were attempted wrong, and you will get a score out of it. But in the data-driven smart test series, you will be getting a detailed analytical report of your performance. You may feel that you are good in arithmetic, it says that no, you are not. You are not good in arithmetic, you can see the answers. You have to improve some bit of it. Like that, each and every topic-wise analysis will be there. For an academy to train the aspirants, the trainer should be a veteran. it is there with Capstone IAS Academy. You should have a good mentor. Yes, Dr. Santosh Babu is there. The faculty should be good enough to teach out of their experience and preparation. Yes, you have people there. The content should be crisp and understandable and easy for preparation. Yes, it is there. And test series should be innovative and it should dig, it should identify the blind spots in your preparation. It is there. And out of all, if I am unable to convince myself, where should I approach? You have a mentoring session. Mentor is nothing but your friend. You can go for a discussion, you can personally talk to him, you can come out with your personal problems also, which is hampering your preparation, which is most important. No schools or no colleges give this sort of comfort. See, your duty is to come and read, you have to prepare, you have to write, you have to pass, that's all. They are not going to do anything with your own business, they are not going to do anything with your personal affairs. This is the stand every institution takes, whereas Capstone IAS Academy, by means of mentoring, they are patting the students even on personal approach. If the students have some personal issues which prevents them in going for a good preparation, we suggest them how to come out of the mess. This is the most important thing every aspirant needs. So, a good mentor, an example by means of his living, Dr. Santosh Babu, good faculties, good study materials, good test series, which brings out good and bad out of you and helps you to understand how where to improve, and good sort of mentoring. These gives an advantage over other academies.
Fantastic, Mr. Bala. Thank you so much for taking out the time to patiently answer each of these important questions. I truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and wishing all success for the aspirants who are going to prepare for the civil service examination. Wishing you all the best, wishing all the success. Thank you.